Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Taranti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yudapatakamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sakrajadam Sahaganar Lagunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvedam Swavadudam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishyakanvitam Shya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanushrute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kirpa Sindhubayevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Dharam Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dana Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I think today we are reading from chapter 7. Okay.
25 to 28.
25 to 28, yes. Prabhuji, please, yes.
And we'll do the first verse completely, and then the Sanskrit and English only for the other verse.
Right. So should we hand over to you, Prabhuji?
Well, who would like to read the Sanskrit like we usually do?
All right. Sashwin, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Nasta Praye Swabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Tattayam Chavataraste Bhuvo Bharajihirsaya Swanam Chananya Bhavanam Anudyanaya Chakrit. Hare Krishna.
Someone will
Hare
do the word for word.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, continue, please.
Hare Krishna. I can do it. Tata,
tata,
thus,
Thus,
I am
I am
this,
this.
This.
cha,
Cha
and
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 avatara,
Avatara,
Avatara
incarnation,
incarnation,
incarnation.
say
they,
Te
your
Ye.
Yo
Ya.
bhuva
Bhuva
Uva.
of the material world,
of the
the
material
Of the
world.
material world.
bhara,
Bara
burden,
burden,
But
jihirshaya,
Jihirshaya
Yirsaya,
for removing,
for
for
removing.
removing,
swanam
Swanam
Swanam,
Swanam.
of the friends,
of the friends,
cha ananya bhavanam
Cha
the
Ananya
Ananya
Bhavanam
Bhavanam,
and of the exclusive devotees,
and of the
and
exclusive
of the
And of
devotees.
the devotees.
anudhyanaya,
Anudhyanaya
Anudhyayana,
Jnana.
for remembering repeatedly,
for remembering
remembering
repeatedly.
Remembering
repeatedly,
repeatedly.
cha
Cha,
and
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 asakrit,
Asakrit,
Asakrita
Asakrit.
fully satisfied.
fully
fully
satisfied.
satisfied.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Someone can read the translation and purport.
Hare Krishna, I'll
Hare
read.
Krishna.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hija.
Thus, you descend as an incarnation to remove the burden of the world and to benefit your friends, especially those who are your exclusive devotees and are wrapped in meditation upon you. Purport. It appears that the Lord is partial to his devotees. Everyone is related with the Lord. He is equal to everyone, and he is more inclined to his own men and devotees. The Lord is everyone's father. No one can be his father, and yet no one can be his son. His devotees are his kinsmen, and his devotees are his relations. And this is the transcendental pastime. It has nothing to do with mundane ideas of relations, fatherhood, or anything like that. As mentioned above, the Lord is above the modes of material nature, and thus there is nothing mundane about his kinsmen and relations in devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Does anyone have any questions about this? Any thoughts?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
There is a mention that Krishna is specially inclined towards his devotees, and that okay, he's in Bhagavad Gita also. Sometimes he says in I think one verse that he's equal to everyone, but still he's inclined to his devotees in a special way. So
Yes.
I mean, what is the internal reason for that, Prabhuji?
Yes, that's a good question. Some people might become upset that God loves some of us more than others, but we're all children. So how is that? So yeah, in the 9th chapter, Lord Krishna says, Samaham Sarvabhuteshu, I am equal to everyone. Then in the 3rd chapter, he says, Yeyata Maprapajante, Tam Sataiva Bhajamyaham, that I reciprocate according to one's service. So Srila Prabhupada explains to us that this is perfect partiality. Sometimes, just like killing, a good person doesn't want to hear about any killing. There should never be killing, and that's true in a idealistic way. But this material world is such a place that killing is required as much as emotionally we must hear that. The fact is there are people who who are not good, aggressive, or they have done such crimes that it is proper for them to be killed, and even good. So partiality, sometimes people will be upset about that. Spirituality should be everything equal. But spirituality is not, it's not that everything is all one completely. Sometimes we hear this, someone will say, everything is God. Yes, everything is part of God, but we don't eat dirt and rocks. The dirt and rocks is God. It's God's energy. But there is variety. So food for humans is a certain thing. So this is simultaneous oneness and difference. Everything is the energy of God, and not all of God's energy can be or should be used in the same way. This is just common sense, but somehow, sometimes people have some other ideas. So partiality, this is natural. It is based on relationship. So Lord Krishna says that those who love me, or as they love me, I love them back, because that's what they want. And so that is perfect equality. Even here in the material world, we have a family, we may have a number of children. And we certainly care for all of our children. But the fact is, often one child will show more affection. They'll come and ask us, can I do something? Can I help? They'll hug us more. They obviously have more affection. So they deserve a different kind of reciprocation, because that's what they want. The other child may not feel the same kind of enthusiasm or interest in that, but this child does. And so we respond equally. Sometimes children, when they grow up, they'll say, don't tell me what to do, I'll call you, don't call me, I'm busy. And so we don't. And then another child will be calling every weekend, this is what happened, how are you, what's happening? And they want to be closer. And so we call them more often, because that's what they want. So God, like any other person, does not force us. Or we humans sometimes try to force each other. But God does not force us to love him. And if we do love him or have respect and appreciation, then he will pay special attention to us. So this is all just common sense. It's just natural. So this is how Krishna acts. Even to the point that a devotee so much wants to care for God that the best relationship is as a parent. Krishna lets the devotee be a parent, because that's the kind of love the devotee has. Does anyone have any questions about this? Comments? Is that all right?
Thank you, Prabhuji, so much. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so someone else can read the Sanskrit and then the English and purport of the next verse.
Hare Krishna. Kim yidam svitkito vedi deva deva na vidmiyaham sarvado mukam ayati teja parama duranam. Hare Krishna. Kim
Oh no,
Yeah.
we'll just read the.
What is?
We'll read the
Without-
English translation.
Oh, translation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh
Yeah.
Lord of Lords, how is it that this dangerous effluence is spreading all around? Where does it come from? I do not understand it. Purpose. Anything that is presented before the personality of Godhead should be so done after due presentation of respectful prayers. That is the standard procedure. And Sri Arjuna, although an intimate friend of the Lord, is observing this method for general information. Hare Krishna.
Any questions or comments? Even in ordinary life, when we go to get some government officer, we don't just go to the office and just immediately give me this permit. I need this permit right away for this. Usually that's not a good way to do it. They may not be so helpful. We usually introduce ourselves. I'm so-and-so. I would very much appreciate your help. You have such a responsible position. I appreciate what you're doing. Would it be possible for you to help me with this permit? First, we introduce ourselves, and also it's a good idea with superior persons to praise them, to say something about them, which is good, right? So this is, of course, true for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After all, he's not just the district officer. He's God. We should be respectful.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
So,
Prabhu, can I ask a question?
yeah.
Is the Hare Krishna mantra also a way of glorifying the Lord? Does it praise him in a way?
Yes, of course. Yes. We go before Lord Krishna, even before prayer, and we praise Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Our bhajans and our japa has basically two moods, or maybe they're mixed. One mood is we're just glorifying. There's nothing we want, there's nothing we need, but just, you're just amazing, you're wonderful. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. And then the other mood is just like a child calling for its mother. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And we're calling upon Krishna.
Haribol.
Anything else? Okay, next verse.
I can do 1.27. 1.27.
Yeah.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Vet Edam Drona Putrasya Brahma Mastram Pradarshitam Naivasho Veda Samharam Pranabada Upastite.
Translation.
Translation by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
He died.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Know from me that this is the act of the son of Drona. He has thrown the hymns of
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I think, yes, Prabhu is struck. I think he has challenges with network, Prabhu. So can I continue the translation?
Please.
Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Know from me that this is the act of the son of Drona. He has thrown the hymns of nuclear energy, Brahmastra, and he does not know how to retract the glare. He has helplessly done this, being afraid of imminent death." Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada ki jai. The Brahmastra is similar to the modern nuclear weapon, manipulated by atomic energy. The atomic energy works wholly on total combustibility, and so the Brahmastra also acts. It creates an intolerable heat similar to atomic radiation, but the difference is that the atomic bomb is a gross type of nuclear weapon, whereas Brahmastra is a subtle type of weapon produced by chanting hymns. It is different science. It is a different science. And in the days gone by, such science was cultivated in the land of Bharatavarsha. The subtle science of chanting hymns is also material, but it has yet to be known by the modern material scientists. Subtle material science is not spiritual, but it has a direct relationship with the spiritual method, which is still subtler. A chanter of hymns knew how to apply the weapon as well as how to retract it. That was perfect knowledge. But the son of Dronacharya, who made use of this subtle science, did not know how to retract. He applied it, being afraid of his imminent death, and thus the practice was not only improper but also irreligious. As the son of a Brahmana, he should not have made so many mistakes, and for such gross negligence of duty, he was to be punished by the Lord himself. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Does anyone have questions so we can discuss this?
Prabhuji, can I just, an observation, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Here Prabhupada says subtle material science is not spiritual, but it has a direct relationship with the spiritual method, which is still unclear, or which is subtler. But did these things really happen is what I wanted to know, Prabhuji, or we are not sure how they happen?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was thinking about that. I haven't seen such amazing effects of chanting material mantras. Of course, chanting spiritual mantras. But we do know, even at this point in history, that sound can have effect.
Yes.
There are instances of singers singing soprano, a very high-pitched voice. They break glass.
Yes.
And the Chinese and others, they use very low sounding, long frequency sound to knock down walls. And if you go on the internet and you do a search for sound making sand patterns, there are researchers who have discovered that different types of sound produce different geometric patterns in sand. The frequency of the sound creates sometimes very intricate patterns, which is quite impressive. So it depends upon, of course, knowing how to do it. You have to know how to do it. So back in the day, long ago, it was taught, and also people had the character and the discipline to learn these different methods, how to use sound. In the Bible, it begins, in the beginning was the Word. And in our Vedas, it is told that everything began with the word Om. Lord Brahma created in part using sound. So we may not be familiar, but it is there.
So Prabhuji, Lord Krishna stops this sound in Subhadra's womb. Is that right? To protect Parikshit Maharaj?
I don't know. I don't know. Lord Krishna can do everything without sound. But a mystic yogi can use sound. Even if you go on YouTube, you can look for calming vibrations and energizing vibrations. So sound definitely has an effect. And there are people who know how to manipulate it. I have read books of the Vedas that give the mantras for lighting a fire, for keeping away ants, for removing the poison of a insect bite, for keeping away animals. They're there. It's just very, very few people know the art of doing it. And it was very interesting, but there's no point in my learning how to keep away mosquitoes necessarily. I suppose it would be helpful. But if you want, you can learn how to do it.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So any other observations or questions?
Also, Prabhupada mentions in Govardhan Leela how Krishna lifted the mountain. So he says that because Krishna is the creator of all the material energies, then he knows the physics and chemistry and whatever of the atomic structure and the combination of materials of matter. So he could manipulate the matter in such a way that he could lift the Govardhan hill and then keep it on his little finger for 7 days, although he was just 7 years or so. So that is, I mean, that is probably in connection with this, how material energies could be used in different ways. Of course, he's the supreme Lord, and then he can do anything with matter or spirit the way he wants and he likes it.
Yeah, it is true. So at the end of this purport, Srila Prabhupada says, as the son of a Brahmin, he should not have made so many mistakes, and for such gross negligence of duty, he was to be punished by the Lord himself. So we may think of this in terms of how we deal with someone who's supposed to be a Brahmin, someone who's supposed to be a spiritual leader. They are not to be dealt with in the same way as anyone else. We will hear how Ashwatthama is punished later on in this narration. There was a pastime, it is described in the Mahabharata, that there was a test to show who might be a better king, Duryodhana or Maharaj Yudhisthira. So one of the tests is they brought 3 criminals into the courtroom before everyone, and Duryodhana and Yudhisthira had to pass sentence for the crime, how they should be punished. So Duryodhana, he basically said they should all be executed. They all committed this crime and they deserve to be executed. And then they asked Maharaj Yudhisthira, and he said, yes, it is a very terrible crime, but this person, he is of the Sudra caste, this person is of the Kshatriya caste, this person is of the Brahminical caste. And so according to scripture, there are different ways for them to be treated. So this is the difference between the mode of goodness and devotion to Krishna. That everything should be done not on the basis of, everything should be decided on the principles of Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. That is how we decide things, either specifically or in general. So if we feel that a mentor or a temple authority or someone we feel in a senior position to us, if we feel that they've made some mistake, maybe even a serious mistake, or they may have, we cannot just start yelling at them the way we would yell at our child. Just like a husband should not talk to his wife like he may talk to workers who work for him. And the wife should not talk to the husband as if he were a child, one of the children. Everyone should be dealt with in terms of the relationship. So what we can do is we can take a humble position, and we may say, I'm not sure I understand this. I've read in the Bhagavad Gita, I've heard Srila Prabhupada say this, and it seems that you're not doing that. How do I understand it? So we take the position of ignorance, that I don't understand this. Could you please help me to understand? And they may respond to us in a polite way, or it may become obvious they don't want us asking them. So if we truly feel this is something serious, then we should go to someone else, another senior person that we trust, and discuss with them our feelings. But we don't just start. Even a devotee may be requested to not come to the temple because they've done some really bad things. They keep doing these bad things. So they should not just be picked up and thrown on the ground, but still it has to be done. That I'm sorry, you've done these things. You put yourself into this position of not being allowed to come to the temple for some time. And that's it. There's no offense. We should also not be too sentimental, that we can never speak with a firm voice, or we can never take positive action with a devotee because we don't want to make an offense. That's also the other side of going too far. Krishna knows, and we know, when we're doing our duty. Just like our children may chant Hare Krishna, but we still have to discipline them. And anyone may do something that requires speaking about it or instructing, and it has to be done as politely as possible. I don't mean to upset you, but you've been doing this thing, or maybe you're not aware you're doing this thing. There's no harm in speaking plainly, and if the person becomes offended, Krishna is not going to be upset with us, that, oh, you offended this devotee. Of course, if we go out of our way, if we deliberately, knowingly speak in a way that we know is going to hurt someone just for the purpose of sticking it back to them, then that's definitely offensive. That's definitely offensive. But if we're doing some dutiful purpose in the service of Krishna, within our family, within the temple, within the ISKCON community, then there's no offense. Any discussion about this? It's just like when if you get stopped by some police official, some official of the government, and the way they're talking to you, it's not good, and you're feeling angry. So because it's a government official, you can't start yelling. Well, you can, but you may get thrown in jail if you are too loud and yelling at them. But you can say, just like we can say before a judge, we can say, I'm feeling really upset about this. Just like, not to be sexist, but just like a wife. She may say to her husband that I'm feeling really hurt by this. I don't know if you know that. It's really not good what you're doing. It doesn't feel good. So that's different than cursing and, calling names. So we can express our feelings depending upon the relationship. A child should be trained to express themselves. They have feelings, and they should learn how to express themselves. Oh, I don't like this. I'm feeling really angry. Okay, yes, I would be angry too, but this is the way it is. You did this thing. Any discussion or questions? The Vedic culture, the mode of goodness, is a polite and gentle culture. Although, when there's a necessity, then there can also be fierce fighting for the right cause, just like Arjuna and Maharaj Yudhisthira and Lord Ram. Lord Ram did not just sit and let things happen, right? He took up his bow and arrow when wrong things were done. So that's dutiful aggression. That's dutiful, righteous aggression. There's a place for it. Who would like to read the next verse, text 28?
I can do it, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Text 28. Na hi asyanya thamam kinchid astram pratyavakarsanam chahi astra teja unnadam astragno hi astra tejasa. Hare Krishna. Someone, okay, I can read, Prabhu. Translation: O Arjuna, only another Brahmastra can counteract this weapon. Since you are expert in the military science, subdue this weapon's glare with the power of your own weapon. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. For the atomic bombs, there is no counter weapon to neutralize the effects. But the subtle science, the action of a Brahmastra can be counteracted. And those who were expert in the military science in those days could counteract the Brahmastra. The son of Dronacharya did not know the art of counteracting the weapon, and therefore Arjuna was asked to counteract it by the power of his own weapon. Hare Krishna.
So, a few things come to mind. One thing, so here is Arjuna, the devotee of Krishna. He's showing us another nice example of bhakti yoga, of serving Krishna. That in the course of doing his duty, in the course of his life, there's some difficulty. So he immediately consulted with Lord Krishna. Right? That I don't know, what is this? What do I do about it? What is your advice? And this is the relationship we should have with our spiritual master, with the spiritual master's representatives, with our mentor. That when there's any doubt about something, question, we ask. But then it is not that Krishna does everything. It's not that, right, isn't it? It's not that Krishna's doing everything directly. This is a very amazing, dynamic, interesting thing about our relationship with Krishna. Of course, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna, he could have destroyed the entire army himself. Lord Krishna did not even need to incarnate on this earth to kill the demons. He could have arranged that some COVID virus, that all the demons get the COVID virus or something. For this purpose, it's a little humorous. That somehow or other, Krishna could get rid of them. So why? So what is going on? Lord Krishna, when Arjuna went to Krishna, why didn't Lord Krishna say, okay, I will take care of it? Zap. Right? But instead, he gave Arjuna advice what to do, that this Brahmastra cannot be counteracted with any other weapon except another Brahmastra. So you take care of it because you know how to do it. So the devotee, we are individuals, and we are willingly being of service to Krishna. And of course, ultimately, Krishna is making everything possible. If there were not food, if there were not water, we could not offer Krishna the arti. We could not teach the children about Krishna. We could not serve Krishna in these bodies. If Krishna did not give us the intelligence to know what to do. So Krishna is supplying all of the ingredients, and he is making everything possible. But we are the willing instrument, and there is a loving relationship. If Krishna did everything, why have us around? There would be no need for us. And in one sense, there is no need for us. In certain cultures, even now, sometimes part of the motivation to have children is they will be able to help with life. They will help do the things that need to be done. And when we get older, they will help us. And the parents want to enjoy the happiness of love, of caring for the child, and the child loving them. We all want to enjoy love. We keep pets many times, a dog or a favorite cat. Sometimes pets can be better than humans because they don't argue and they don't tell us mean things, and they're just there. They have their moods. But that's one reason sometimes people appreciate pets. They're a lot easier to get along with often than another human. But we enjoy taking care of the dog or the cat or the horse. And obviously these animals, they appreciate us. They're happy to see us. And so Krishna, Rasovaisa, the absolute truth is full of rasa, Rasovaisa. And Lord Krishna, the Vedic aphorism is Anandamayo Vyasat, that the absolute truth is full of bliss in relationship. It's really not so much fun being all alone. The bliss, the greater level of happiness, the ananda, is in relationship. All varieties of relationships. So Krishna, although he could do everything, because the devotees want to offer service, so Krishna gives them opportunity to offer service, just like our Hare Krishna movement. So we are working together to push forward and maintain Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement, to fulfill Lord Chaitanya's desire. Yari Deki Taraka Krishna Upadesh. Amar Agya Hoy. Krishna Ede. Lord Chaitanya has ordered. He wants everyone in Africa, everyone in the world to know Bhagavad Gita and to chant the names of God as soon as possible. So he could arrange for this himself. But because the devotees, number one, want to be engaged, and number two, we need to be engaged in service. Otherwise, what will we do? So Arjuna, he is of the Kshatriya class. He has a tendency to fight. He has the physical build to fight. And so he is engaged in as a Kshatriya. So interesting dynamic. The devotee always feels themselves, the way Srila Prabhupada describes it, as the devotee always feels dependent upon Krishna, even if the devotee is fully capable. What does that mean? That means, more or less all of us can cook. And we can, some of it we can cook. It's not that difficult to cook rice. We may cook something very well. But we know that that ability comes from Krishna. I may be able to sing kirtan, play mridanga, play kartals, do business, farm, very good. And that's true. But it's by the grace of Krishna. So this is how this is one way that we remain humble, even though we may be very, very capable. Just like our Srila Prabhupada, he was so very empowered. He wasn't only chanting Hare Krishna, like someone living in Vrindavan chanting all day, but he was moving around the world. He was dealing with hundreds of buildings and thousands of devotees and money, so many material, practical dealings, and so very, very Krishna conscious. He's so empowered, but he was extremely humble, amazingly humble, always giving credit to Krishna. So, this is Krishna consciousness, that I can do this thing, but it will be by the grace of Krishna, and I should not be a parasite. A parasite, there's kinds of bugs. They live on your body or an animal body. They don't do anything, and they just suck the blood. So this is a parasite. Just taking, nothing giving. So a devotee wants to do things for Krishna and use all of their God-given ability, whatever it might be, in the service of Krishna. And when there is some difficulty, and always they look to Krishna, they remember that Krishna is the ultimate person who makes everything possible. So Arjuna is showing this. He went to Lord Krishna, what do I do? Lord Krishna told him what to do, gave his advice, and Arjuna is going to do it. Just like we go to our spiritual master, we go to our mentor, we ask, this, what do I do? We get the answer, we get the advice, and then we have to do it. We have to do it ourselves. We have to put forward the effort. We have to put forward the effort. Any discussions or questions on this observation?
Hare Krishna. So as you were mentioning that it's an interesting to note that Arjuna, although he knew the art of contracting the Brahmastra, but still he inquired it from Krishna, and then took permission with giving a lot of prayers in the beginning and how to approach the Supreme Lord, and like he properly inquired and then took permission from him to counteract the Brahmastra, which he already probably knew, and then but he's still showing us the etiquette that we should take permission from our seniors to do certain things.
Yes,
Prabhu.
very good. Yes, very good. And it's good to check too. I mean, suppose you're managing a temple, and it may be that you feel you know what to do, and you may know what to do, but then again, there might be a better way, and it could be you're mistaken. So you might, such a manager may check with someone that, what do you think? Am I on the right track? Actually, it is said again and again in the Vedic scriptures that a king or a leader who never consults anyone is doomed. And not just a king, that's applicable to all of us. It's always good to ask, just to be sure, and to keep an attitude that I'm not always perfect. Maybe most of the time, but I could make a mistake. So let me check. Let me give Krishna a chance to guide me, right? So there's a couple of, at least 2 or 3 good reasons for doing that. One, as Prabhu pointed out, to ask permission that, is it all right if I do this? This is the thing I should do. And also it helps us to remain humble, not to think that I can do everything and I can do everything automatically 100%. We could slip up with that attitude. And we may get some information that we didn't think of. Oh, I didn't think of that. Any other observations or questions? Sometimes we find it annoying. Someone is questioning, well, why are you doing it like this? Why don't you do it that way? So perhaps sometimes the person, what do they call? They call it backseat driving. Always questioning, or always giving their, well, I would do it this way. It can become annoying. But then on the other hand, it is obviously good to be open to that so that we can receive valuable information from Krishna, especially from someone who basically cares about it. Sometimes a child will ask questions, the husband will ask, or the wife, oh, what about this? So rather than being annoyed, we should think, oh, let me think about it. And we may say, no, it's all right. I've done this many times. It's the same thing. Let it be.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Anything else?
Yes. Are there any other questions? Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, just want to double check. Did Arjun and Ashwatthama know where this Brahmastra is going to target or the damage it will cause? Were they aware?
Yes, in a general sense, it was sent to destroy all the remaining Pandavas and those associated with them. So, yeah, it's coming for us.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Unfortunately, I have to drop off as soon as possible. Something very pressing. So if I could beg your forgiveness.
Okay. Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. We'd like to thank His Grace Dina Prabhu for today's wonderful insights into the verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I request all the devotees to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once, glorifying His Grace Dina Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo
All glories to the Vaishnavas.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
All
Krishna.
goes to Prabhupada.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Hare
devotee.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Kumar Prabhuji, you are ending the session.